not afraid of any bruja.
Io tampoco.
I married your sister,
Did I? I'm for another beer.
like Sonoria Vamoros.
But I'd like you to stay.
Hello, everyone. So I'm very excited to be continuing our Latinx video artist series, Artist Here and Now. And I'm thrilled to be talking with the wonderful stage director, Octavio Cardenas. So thank you, Octavio, for joining us today.
Hi, Hector. Thank you for having me.
So Octavio, tell us how you started as a stage director.
How I started as a stage director? It was a little bit more of an accident. I never really planned on being a director. I was studying because I wanted to be an opera singer. I was a bass baritone, and I studied vocal performance. And so I have a master's, a bachelor's and a master's with vocal performance, and I wanted to be a singer, but I took an acting class in doing my master's, and the teacher kind of took me under his wing and told me, this is what you need to be doing, this is what you need to be doing. And he made me audition for UCLA. UCLA just ended up giving me a full ride to study acting and theater. So at that point, let's say the singing career was not going anywhere. So I'm like, well, okay, let's go see what happens. But I had to stop singing. The program was very, very intense. And for 3 years, all I did was theater, movement, dance, acting. And while I was there, one of the first things that came to my mind was, oh my God, if somebody had told me this, how easy would it be to perform? It'd be easier to perform. And I started coaching friends. And I got the opportunity to be an assistant director at Chautauqua Opera. And I went there and I started learning more about opera. And the year after, I got a position as a resident artist at Minnesota Opera. And I spent there 4 years. And from then on, I started directing. I ended up directing and I kind of liked it more. Now, if I see it in retrospective, since I was a kid, I guess I liked it because I used to put plays and stories with my cousins.
Tell us, what have been your favorite productions to direct?
My favorite production to direct, oh my God, I think I have plenty. I've been very, very, very lucky. I have a special spot for Silent Night. The opera Silent Night is an opera that I was an assistant when it was created. I saw the premiere. And I was able to direct the piece twice. So it's an opera that is very close to me. Another opera that I love very, very much is Bohème. I have a soft spot for Bohème. And I like modern operas. I got a chance to direct Galileo Galilei. And I have to say that piece was great, a lot of fun. So there are plenty of pieces that I really love. But there is a piece I've done a lot that is kind of my workhorse, Maria de Buenos Aires. Mm-hmm. I have done that piece close to 6 times now.
You directed that, or you are directing it for Opera Southwest?
I directed it last year.
Last year. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now we had an opportunity to work together because you directed the world premiere of Bless Me Ultima, my operas based on the life of Rodolfo Anaya. What is it? And you just mentioned the Buenos Aires piece. But what do you feel the difference is directing for you? And I know a little bit about you because you're a colleague, a friend of from Guadalajara, of conductor Alan Ladner Gomez. But you're originally from Guadalajara, is that right?
I am. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yeah. So what is the difference directing Spanish language operas from traditional repertoire? When I say traditional, I'm thinking Italian opera, French, German.
Well, you have the language barrier no matter what. The language barrier is there if you don't speak the language. When I direct operas in Italian or French or German, of course I do my research and I translate and I know what I'm saying, but still there is a barrier no matter what in the language. Which when I direct something in Spanish, or it's my mother language, I'm able to help have a better understanding of the story when it comes to Spanish.
Mm-hmm.
I really have to say, I haven't had that many opportunities to direct with you. It was one opportunity I had to do in Spanish. I've done a couple of Catan pieces in Spanish and Zorro that we're about to do.
Yeah.
Before all this happened. So those are the Spanish pieces that I've been able to work with.
Yeah.
I think it's more accessible to me if I do something in my own language.
Yeah. So for some of you, most of you probably would know that I'm working on our finished Zorro, and the world premiere was to take place at Fort Worth Opera, and it was in April, and Octavio was going to direct that. So we're still waiting to hear from Fort Worth Opera as to when they will reschedule it. But
we were ready to go.
ready to go. Yeah. So, but the good news is that it's going to be done in 2022 for sure in Opera Southwest, and then Opera Cultura will be producing it in that year also. But anyway, so Spanish language opera. So you feel it's not just the language, but it's also the culture. I mean, storylines.
Yes, absolutely. We talk about that too. Also, I think I have a better understanding of sometimes some of the issues and the cultural aspects of it. What are the motivations sometimes of a character that come from my own culture?
Right. Give me an example. Like a particular scene that maybe you were working on, whether it be Catan or my work or.
For let's say Bless Me Ultima, a piece, a wonderful piece, and also a wonderful book. When I was doing my research, something that helped me connect to the character and connect to the fact that they come from where I come from, and there was this overtones of there were no overtone. There was a theme of being an immigrant. What an immigrant mean? I am an immigrant also. So I probably had a good understanding of what it means to be an immigrant, to be away from your family or from your culture, from a culture that it could be a little stranger to you.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I know Catan's work, but of course I know my work better. So I just want to ask you about a scene in Bless Me Ultima. So, or particularly the character of Ultima.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea, and I don't want to, quite call her a curandera, because she's more than that. She's more than a curandera. Mm-hmm. But the idea or the concept of a curandera is very important in I would say the Mexican culture and definitely people from the Southwest and California. And how did your experience growing up, if any, inform how to shape the character of Ultima?
I was born and raised in the big city, I have to say. So it's not that we have curanderas everywhere, but it's there. And you especially go to the outskirts of the small towns. But I used to see them in downtown Guadalajara. Sometimes they would be downtown doing some cleansing or selling stuff. And once, out of research for Bless Me Ultima, I think I told you the story that I went to see one.
No, I don't think you did.
I didn't? Oh, no. Yeah. As research, I made an appointment with one. And I went to see her. I got her name, and it was very interesting. Her house was full of people in line waiting to see her. And she did the whole cleansing to me, and it was very, very interesting to see it. Yeah. All the smells, all the the chants that she did for me. It was interesting. I respect the people who believe in that. I don't think the demons came up.
At least not that night.
Yeah, I think they're still there.
Yeah.
But it was very, very interesting. And as you see and she never asked for any money. She just said, whatever you can give me.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, fine. And it was like, the place was packed. I mean, she was in demand.
Yeah. No,
I had a close. I was able to access that part of the story very easily.
Yeah. I'm sure it's a different experience growing up in a big city like Guadalajara, and it would be in a smaller town where the idea of the curandera, and then I don't want to quite say the mythology, but the belief systems are much more real for the community than it would
especially
be
in small towns.
Yeah, than growing up in Guadalajara or Mexico City. Now let me ask you another question. How do you see your work as a Latinx or Latino? So the term now is we say Latinx, but as a Latino stage director, what do you feel your role is in advancing work that is about the Latino cultural experience, or also the idea of, in light of what's been happening in the last week, actually, of having more, Latinx singers on stage or people of color?
Mm-hmm. It is I would wish that we had more exposure to what we have to offer as a Latino community. I'm glad we have more Latino directors, more Latino conductors, more Latino singers. But still, we have a lot of stories to tell. I've never had an experience in which said like, oh my God, that was a bad story, or the music was bad. Usually people, when come to see something done by Latinos, they are always amazed by it. And it's incredible the amount of talent that you have. For example, when I go back to my hometown in Guadalajara, there are singers everywhere. You lift a rock and there's a tenor right there.
I think what thrills me about your work, I think you're just an amazing stage director. I like how you come in, you have set ideas, but you work so collaboratively with the artist to discover new things.
I think there's no other way. You have to collaborate.
Yeah, I think it's really great. I was going to ask you, what I was going to also say, which is really nice to have seen in the last 5-10 years really, is that there are more opportunities. There should be more, definitely. But I like the fact that you get hired to do work, to do both traditional work, repertoire, as well as to do works that are sort of, Latinx specific. And that wasn't always the case, so I think it's wonderful. Have you experienced, are you seeing that those opportunities become more for you? In terms of the kinds of productions that you get hired to do?
Yes.
Or do you feel there still are barriers?
Oh, there are many, 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 many barriers. I've been very lucky to have been invited to do some both modern and traditional. I cannot, at this point in my career, I cannot say that, I'm a specialist on modern opera. I'm a specialist on this. I direct everything that comes to my plate. I'm like, I'll do it.
Like that.
Yeah, sometimes this career goes like this. Sometimes the job is we have a lot to do, and then sometimes there's nothing, and then again it goes up. So it is. I'm always scared of answering this question like, this is what I do, because tomorrow can be completely different. Right now there's nothing happening. But before coronavirus happened, I was very lucky to work in traditional and modern. I find that people are scared sometimes of opera in Spanish. it's not produced that often. People don't know much about it. I mean, people know zarzuela, people do that because of the name, but it's not produced that often everywhere. And if it's produced, it's only the first 1 or 2 titles that everybody knows. But I don't see works in Spanish being put very, very, very often. Everything is Italian, Spanish, English, or German, the traditional languages of opera. Once in a while, I see Catan. There's now the mariachi operas, but there are not that many. I think there's still a barrier.
Before we end this, I want to ask you, I sort of ask this question of everyone.
You have a smirk on your face. What's going
Yeah. What advice would you give to someone who is considering becoming a stage director?
Okay. You have to have a lot of patience. you have to have a lot of patience. It's slow. So a slow process. It's not. The thing is, there is not one way of doing things. I would encourage them to be patient and do the work, and be true to your gut. Tell a story and be truthful to it. Tell the truthful story. That's it.
Very good advice. Very good advice, Octavio. So thank you everyone for joining us again on the Latinx video series Here and Now. And I'm most grateful to my friend Octavio for joining me.
I'm not afraid of any bruja.
Io tampoco.
I married your sister.
Did I? I'm for another beer.
Like Sonoria, vámonos.
But I'd like you to stay. Quédense and drink with me. Don't be afraid. No bruja will enter my salon. Sit. Drink with me, my good friends. Conmigo. Nothing and no one will bother us here. Caballeros like us with the parasol, so drink with me and say.
Otra copa. Denme el trago más fuerte que tenga.
Tomen mis compadres, tomen conmigo. Caballeros like us, nothing to fear.
Never! Yeah!
If the muerte should visit in search for a soul, we'll pour her a drink and ask her to go.
Deme el trago más fuerte que tenga.
Oh, be the kind of man